800 HP to run it down. You're not quite sure what you're going to do there, but you do know he's going to be in your face constantly, and you're going to have to see that kind of go ahead and start to accumulate pretty early on, which I think we're quite frankly going to see pretty obviously.
I'm really excited to see how this Phoenix Shaquille O'Neal steps into the foray. When you want somebody to step into, big boots to fulfill a double duelist role, why not somebody named Shaquille O'Neal? Why not somebody who's taking after one of the biggest and most threatening presences in the NBA? I don't know about the oatmeal part. I'm not a big fan personally of oatmeal, but maybe they're just a big fan themselves. Iolani Esports will start off on the attack. Hillcrest High School start off on our defense, and it's gonna be very interesting to see how they adjust to this defensively when they don't have that KO for early information. And on top of that, Dallas, they don't have a Sova. They don't have the ability to send out a recon bolt over through a site. They don't have shock darts to tend to zone away players on the initial engagements. I would dare say Iolani Esports, especially considering the double duelist selection they have brought forward, are going to be very favored when it comes to this attack, but you can't sleep on Hillcrest once it pivots to that second half.
Yeah, there's a reason we see Sova on Ascent just 9 times out of 10. I mean, you had the flashes there to kind of go ahead and facilitate these pushes on the side out of that Phoenix, which is definitely also necessitating its own right, but already they're going to have to play off this contact. They're going to have to play off this information. Problem is they're already down 2 players off that alone, but already you've had an exchange for at least 1, but the entire site's already been taken control of.
Very quick engagement coming out here from Iolani. Plant will go down, very default position, stacked up right next to Generator. Maybe hoping for a post-plant positioning all the way back in through Archers. Their Cypher has relocated to there. Toast will have to tailwind backwards to avoid the line of sight there for the recon bolt. Papa will be dinged by it twice, however. And unfortunately, we'll have to send out a dark cover back through Archers, and we'll need to break down door in an early pistol round, especially when you don't have much to work with. That door can be an extremely big nuisance to deal with. Immortal lagging down below right outside Hell does get 1, damages a second, and it's just enough for the cleanup crew for the rest of Iolani Esports to step in and find themselves a good victory in round 1.
Yeah, going ahead, cleaning things up pretty darn swiftly. I mean, knowing that even then, as somewhat of a backup, you have 2 players surviving. You're not really worried about that in the first round, though. You're looking to go ahead and find yourself a solid little foundation here. I know you're getting some solid trades off. You have yourself that utility of the Cypher already going ahead and starting to live up to its name. And even then more so, your Phoenix surviving all the way through. Showing, okay, we have our duelists doing their respective job. Then we have one looking to go ahead and kind of lurk around a little bit and stay alive throughout the entire round and try to play that thing out to see if they can get a couple more kills to facilitate the rest of their utility and most importantly, their ultimate there towards the end. So already looking for some mid pressure, a little bit more of a default this time. I like what Iolani's doing, saying, okay, we have the guns now. We can kind of spread ourselves out across the map a little bit more comfortably, knowing that we're not too much of a risk. And we can figure out where these players are really stationed in themselves, because we already know what it looks like on the A side, but we need to flex out and see what B looks like as well.
Honestly, really impressed with the Iolani Esports side. Go ahead and go, hey, there's ult orbs on the map. We need to get those as quick as possible, even if we're seeing some initiation, aka guiding lights being sent our way. Don't be too scared. You get a jet not far behind. When you're pushing up in through garden, in through tree, you have Shaquille Oatmeal not far behind you as well. So they go 1 for 1 for the initial trade. I believe Anime King Demon's going to try and go ahead and go for this ult orb. They're going to farm these as best as they can early. But with Spike also in hand, you can guess that with the noise being made on the A site, they were trying to force players to pivot and relocate, and maybe trying to force that KJ into a spot where they can be taken down quickly. And if Shaquille can find it, which they can, that loses all of the denial of util placed. The nano swarm, the alarm bot, the turret placed on that B site, completely useless now. For the HHS side, Patriots have no way to defend this. Dark gets 2 quick kill cleans in a row, and it just leaves the Omen to Papa, who does take down Phoenix. But there's still 3 more players and a Spike left to go through, and the SMGs aren't going to let that happen, Dallas.
Yeah, and barely any health remaining there on that last player. So, I mean, you're going ahead and expecting that to kind of go underway, even in the Guardian, you carry even to the next round, knowing that gun is going to have to go ahead and be carried on because of how much a necessity it is. That gun is going to be the only one that actually feels like anything else. It's going to be comparable to the rest of these weapons. The problem is it has to be on the right player. Maybe on a controller, kind of sitting to those backlines where it is recoverable, but you're not getting it over. But even this is also round 3, so keep in mind, the Patriots should be completely buying up, getting all the rifles respectively that they need. Besides the likes of Light and that KJ. That is a very expensive kit that you're using out of that KJ. And apparently he's really starting to take his soul where you say, you know, I'm going to go not only for just a Spectre, but half armor off the back of it as well, as we do see an exchange go down to go ahead and show that the Patriots are finally stepping up.
Jaylon gets 2 quick clean sprays with the Phantom, exactly what you want to see when you're pretty much the lonesome player being relied upon there once you lost your Sky. Their responsibility, sending out a guiding light, get some flashes going forward. A little bit slow from Iolani. They didn't get completely flashed out by that one, but going for the ult orb is a great way to get at least 1 forcing them to turn away. Also, sending it farther deep in towards courtyard also makes it a lot harder for them to turn that way. It's a game of unpredictability with that guiding light, especially with the huge increase in range, the fact you can't really shoot it out anymore. It's very effective against attacking teams that want to farm out these ult orbs that we've seen just last round, and I believe we also saw them go for it in round 1. Speaking of that, though, Dark Anime King is already working in through B main. Will attempt to try to make some noise on that site. We saw just how slow Iolani wanted to play the round before, and I don't seem to see them changing up that strategy, but Papa Sauce lingering in courtyard may know that a player's nearby. The timing, the shoulder just barely spotted, and Immortal will fall short, and Cypher, the Manchaka, almost joined them, but they'll get the kill up ahead instead with the Guardian.
That's all it comes down to at this point in the game. Look to lurk around the map, kind of see where you can find these nooks and crannies to slip through, but already you've given up enough information through the middle to let them know, okay, they're rotating towards this B side. We have the cage over there, and even the Patriots had so much discipline just not to really move yet. But keep in mind that one player on site only has a Spectre in the half shields and couldn't really hold on against that Guardian too much. So considering that, even though worst case scenario, honestly, this is an outstanding round for Iolani, knowing they've knocked so many rifles out and can still clutch it up. Problem is, well, Eamon doesn't really have too much health to really do that.
Now, Jocko, you kind of trapped out there in the void, the Guardian as well, that I believe you still had in your hands up to that point. Maybe you traded it out for a Spectre for up close and personal. Maybe you found a Phantom at that point. Whatever it came down to, I don't think that the Patriots going to lose out in that fight. It was just too easy for them. 2 players surviving, but you said it best, Dallas. Iolani got 3 players off the board. That's 3 rifles that now need to be either repurchased for the Patriots side, or it's going to be an investment that they just straight up say, hey, we lose out on. We do not go green. We are net negative. Straight red. We do not pass go and collect $100. This has been a rough round for them, but they'll tally it up on the win sheet. And then this is where Iolani can say, hey, truly, this is where it's supposed to be a rifle on rifle battle, but how much can your team afford? Not just in terms of the weapons you have in hand, but how much are you willing to afford going into the next round if you force up here?
I mean, already you can see the investment being made. I mean, the Patriots already just going ahead and look for some kind of relativity here. But, I mean, all things considered, you have the Phoenix running back and that Neural Theft both available. The 2 players who survived in round 1, keep in mind, and had 2 pips of their ultimate going into that second round, have gone ahead and shown what they're made of and shown that, okay, we can go ahead and have that effect right here, right now, and just rush all the way into sight. But they've already lost a player there on the flank, and knowing that the middle one could be in the middle of the map, you have to get that shutdown, because keep in mind, that running back source would have been a easy little shutdown there as a follow-up. So considering that you're getting picks across the map, but more forward towards that A side, is an easy closure to say, yeah, look, that's where we're putting the spike down.
Great job. I'm honestly very impressed with Papa being able to get a shot through that smoke and take down one of the Iolani side, especially with the run it back that was just being popped. The quick and hasty retreat made. They couldn't step through. Maybe you're a little bit slower trying to work in from Link. Could have caught them on the re-step there from the front, from the step it back, and it could have been a right idea, but Plant will inevitably go down. To the Patriots are now looking at a 3 versus 4. Jelly's up on rafters. Literally nothing to work with except a ghost in their hand. With all 3 players seemingly taking the exact same angle up on top, only one person has a tertiary side angle in through door, but door can't be swung because there's just too much there to deny it, and Iolani will inevitably take down all of the remaining players. They do lose 1, but the damage has been done, and a round win will essentially mean that they can still buy up.
Yeah, kind of the round result we were expecting, even though you can see Iolani just really feel themselves on the default around this map. They're looking for middle pressure, which is given up essentially almost every single time. The Patriots look for that early B aggression to see if they can match anything up. But right here, if they can't match anything in terms of the economy buy, already over and over again, we talked about how they were in a deficit in that last round, but that is going to hemorrhage them over the course of this game if they don't find a way to iron it out as an entire unison at some point or another. But one thing that could be changed up a little bit and possibly give yourself a little bit more success could be this KJ setup, as you see the default now kind of going over towards that A side heavy, because that's where they found some success. But this time, they're not even doing the same thing they've always done. No middle pressure whatsoever, but they do run that player on B still, and surprisingly end up losing it.
Shay-Wan, I do not know how you get away with that one with just a stinger in the back pocket, considering how much we saw coming out there from Shaquille Oatmeal, who had readily been aware of the fact that a Fade was going to toss up a Haunt over the top and be able to catch off the backline, was waiting for it, cleared it instantaneously, was watching the exact angle for the headshot, and still loses that engagement. And that just isolates Anime King. They lose the next fight. A Bucky in hand for the Jet for the Patriots, and it's a loss of life all over again for your attacking side. Thankfully, though, You did not put the spike in the hands of your Omen like you did in round 2 and started to do in round 3 before changing your mind. You're now over to the A site and the Cypher has it in their hand, and Shaka has more than that in their hand. 2 kills as well, but only a little bit of HP left on top Dallas, and they are in a very poor spot, needing to step in towards sites. Thankfully, Dark will alleviate some of the concerns off of the objective as they'll move in through rafters and take down a player trying to transition from the B side.
I'm mad there for the shorty player as well. I mean, they're not the only one mad in that circumstance. I mean, consider you've shoved an entire barrel into the likes of that Cypher's head, pulled that trigger, and you saw nothing but dings. You still couldn't close out that kill. That's completely unfortunate, but it's just the way the dice crumble, the way the cookie crumbles, and even knowing that you're in a 1v3 situation anyways for the rest of your team. This is a round where you're an eco. You want to just go ahead and knock a lot of money out of these players' hands. You can go ahead and make the call and say that, well, Cypher has basically 0 HP. Can you get any more kills in the meantime? Problem is that spray gets a little bit too top left, and well, you see another round closing where Iolani had themselves players remaining, another round working out for them, but better yet, they have the majority of their squad rather than a minority.
Iolani continue to move ahead of the competition. Now the scoreline matching a 4-1 split. They are 2 rounds away, Dallas, from breaking even at halftime bare minimum. The Patriots, they've been in a bit of an economic downturn, to be fair for them. The last 2 rounds, they bought in round 4. They didn't have enough to buy everyone. The loss was anticipated. Last round, it's an eco round. They still did fairly well for it. This is where they truly get rifles in their hands and pretty much thrifting 2 rounds in a row for 2 out of those, 5 players in round 4. You now can buy an operator, and that's where Toast finds the first blood right off the rip. Shaquille Oatmeal, also the first one to die last round. That one from a Stinger will face a much more hefty expense here with the operator taking it down instead.
It's where these wake-up moments occur for some of these defensive teams. I mean, considering that we do see a lot of squads kind of struggling to have a defense, even in the better, I mean, it's at the upper echelons of collegiate teams, and even in professionals sometimes, when Chambers kind of moved out of the meta ever since we saw the jet button nurse come through way earlier on. I mean, knowing that finally that operator can go into play there, you don't know what you can peek and what you can't. You know the market, you know the B main, and even then, when you're just trying to go into A side, everything feels like a threat because of how easy it is to rotate on either side of the map. That's why you have to look for that mid control early on the attacker side so you can flex it out wherever you want to. But already, with a little bit of a B main hit coming through, you're trying to see if you can find any leniency of pressure, but honestly, with all that utility there, you know the occasion to be set up with that turret there in the back.
Push in quickly, coming out here from the Iolani side, knowing they're in a man disadvantage. They'll need to take control of the objective as fast as they can. They also need to watch their flank. Shrouded Step utilized by Pop of the Patriots side, tries to work in, and Dark will deny them of that space. That means B main is entirely still there for the Iolani side, and it means it's nearly impossible to step out of market with a crossfire now engaged on site. Dark finding their second, looking for their third. Chewan, though, gets one, but their teammate Light Fire falls instead of 3K for Dark, who has been an absolute menace. The Blade Storm popped as well, but it can't find Chewan, and it leads now to a 2-on-2 on site. Nightfall utilized. Why not send the ult? Your life, though, has to be sent out. Instead, it's just Jellies finally with a proper rifle in their hand, but the Danger 2 in the back of sight, no time to work with. The round will fall to Iolani in the end. At least no rifles will survive if you bought enough time. I think that will be the case. Everyone will die in this round.
That's the only thing you saw them going for there at the end. Just go ahead, put the pressure on, make sure to lock them in there and back boathouse and make sure that no rifles carry over. At least make it expensive because, I mean, at this stage of the game, you're sitting at 1-5. You have to find some kind of hemorrhaging on the other team. You got to have some kind of small win because obviously it's not really happening on the board. But regardless of that, you do see the majority of the squad. I mean, they're kind of holding their own here. I mean, 5-5, 5-6. And we're seeing the majority of the squad kind of keep to themselves, able to go ahead and play these one-to-one trades or at least win these ones for the most part. But that's kind of occurring when you're on site. You're seeing a lot of chaos. You're seeing these isolated 1-1s that are just kind of occurring in your own mind rather than actually on the field. Meanwhile, Iolani's looking at the bigger picture here. They're able to get a lot more shots off, a lot more utility, and find some real effects out of it, while also maintaining that pressure around the map. And you can already see it once again, kind of going underway. A little bit of V main pressure, knowing they're going to meet their makers over there. But what's going to happen otherwise? That operator's now out of the field. You're happy about that. What else is going to go on anywhere else? Well, now you hear sheriff shots. You know that, okay, we can probably push any long avenue here on the map and win that gunfight 9 times out of 10. So let's just go ahead and opt for that. Maybe look at a little bit of the A main area, smoke off that door, and we should be good.
Perfect. Dark cover goes out. The jet for the side of the Patriots is lying within, but your one player on site who just dropped away from rafters, aka Chewan, loses the next fight, and Shaka even takes down Jellies up on top of rafters, and the door switch push out from Toast fails in the end. The Patriots falling short against Iolani in this round as anticipated. It is an eco round for them. can squeak out some due diligence here. Live fire with 2. What an unexpected fight. They were flashed. They were blind. They saw them for just half a second and just held down the left click, got down 2. It'll fall in the end. Damage has been done. And now Papa Sauce with a Vandal to work with, dropped up in rafters, may just have a chance. 1 on top of Jen. Spotted by the spy cam, but not gonna happen. Immortal from down below using the intel off of your Cypher. Easily able to clean that up with the wallbang from down below.
Yeah, really good executions here from Iolani. I mean, just going ahead looking at that Cypher specifically. I mean, not only just that cam in the course of that round, but even in these very quick post-plant setups that we've seen, just go ahead and successfully go off every single time, it feels like. That player's always alive. Well, because when you look at his KD ratio, he's 10-1. There's only been 1 round. He has not taken a full effect in from start to finish. And that is absolutely insane to hear out of a Cypher specifically, knowing that they are not only getting the majority of these kills, but even then they're doing it on the post-plant scenario. They are playing that defense, and that's going to show to be an absolute menace when we see these half switch-ups. That's why HHS needs a lot more on the board right here, right now, because Iolani's already sitting to guaranteed even half no matter what, and everything passes is just deserved.
Run it back was utilized by Shaquille Oatmeal. Che1, though, will at least take down the first life. They'll have to go for their second. Che1 in the back of Boathouse, known by Dark, but Dark still can't close up for the kill. Forcing the refrag out from Anime King Demon as they'll plant down that spike and force now a tagman straight in the lap of the Patriots. 2 moving in for market. First one dealt with. Shaquille Oatmeal needs to send the flash. Does so well, and it'll be Shaka to steal the kill. But the damage has been done. Operator out. Shaka has more justice to serve as that operator sings out and hits nothing but leg, leaving Shaka still alive, and Papa Sauce now the only player remaining for the Patriots side. Dune, I mean, how much can you ask for there? It's a wall bang to the head, straight for Shaka. Finally cut down the man who's been absolutely ripping through your side. With 1 player in market, guaranteed position, Shaquille Oatmeal will swing out quickly, and Papa Sauce's life will be forfeited 7-1. My goodness, Dallas. The Iolani Esports side is coming out with a vengeance.
Yeah, they just keep it rolling here, and even then they're looking to go ahead and kind of capitalize out that. So you know what? We're in a situation we're already leading no matter what. We can go ahead and take this time. Let's start getting warmed up for the defensive side. We already know that E-Man's going to do exactly what we need him to do, but Dark, how about you, buddy? You're a Jet, so let's go ahead and get you on that operator. See what can go ahead and happen right here. See if you start warming up a little bit and cutting off these longer angles. Honestly, we talked about the middle of the map. You can go ahead and just immediately push that, because why not? We can take control of that once more, and if anybody wants to swing, well, go ahead. Hit your shots there, because I guarantee on a round like this, they're not going to have something to really match it. Maybe a Sheriff, maybe a Bucky, but I mean, with the kind of range that you're working at, they're not going to get that one hit off. So all things considered, you got to look for some pressure somewhere else. See what you can do, and already that's why you see every single Patriot player tucked away in a corner somewhere in the map saying, please, just swing me, and I'm hoping I can find at least something.
Look at the positioning we've seen in most rounds from Shaka for the Iolani side. Typically is, yeah, flank watch, place a couple trap wires and try to work on that side. But they'll be one of the first people to engage when they're trying to make a numbers advantage in through a very tight space, like working in through tree, where currently a single player is lying over towards dog, waiting for a single man, aka Shaka in this stance. Maybe the Jet as well of Dark to step forward. Last time this happened, Toast faced a very unfortunate problem, but they won't face it here. Shaka dies to 1 blow. Toast requires 2 to deal with Dark, but once it hits, it kills, and that gives a huge chance for the Patriots in this dire round to maybe clap things back, especially if the lockdown can be utilized well. They'll use the Hunter's Fury as a perfect counter to it once the information for its location has been called out, but that lets you know, player down in hell. Toast gets a 3rd, Jellies to the final. It's just the omen of Anime King Demon in a 1v3, quickly made 2. Has to reload, player on site. Jellies in the back line. Toast will start the defuse, have to go front. They'll get the first, need to just bait out time for the second. Toast didn't get it to half. Time is not on their side. They have to go quickly. Just higher than the smoke. You can't. They'll strike. And Iolani Esports will go up to 8. My God, what a team.
I mean, it's just so unfortunate there for HHS. You see what they're going for. You know they had the idea. They had the player count there. They even had the weapons, surprisingly, which they squeaked out into their hands in the meantime, but they just couldn't find themselves the timing and the defuse to go off because they already gave up the space. That's going to be their biggest pain in the side, not only for right now on defense, on the attacking side as well. It's this battle for real estate, this war of attrition that they are just not winning, and that's the biggest thing as it stands right now because, well, now seeing an 8-1 score line, you got to step it up eventually. I say it every single time. Find at least 3. But now when you see the likes of the entirety of the Iolani team feeling themselves, saying, look, you didn't hold on to the operator, we can go ahead and buy up one again because we're just going ahead and feeling it. We're giving it a shot once again. We're keeping ourselves warm here for the next half to go underway. But Papa Sauce going to find a quick ability to cool that down.
Shaka has been fairly aggressive. I highlighted the trapwire placements, typically responsible for flank watch, just making sure if anyone does start to take from and vie for map control for the Patriots side on their defense, they'll be punished fairly quickly. But Shaka's been in the face. And they took a very aggressive peek in through Link, didn't spot anything initially, but then Papa struck very quickly. That's just the lack of information from top mid, where Immortal was anticipating to play but hadn't yet stepped out. The timing was just perfect for Papa Sauce, who will now use their From the Shadows to pivot back in through Market, and now they'll have 3 players stacked heavily for the defense here on the B side. In fact, so much so that they moved their Sky away from Cubby Dallas, right outside Market. They have a man advantage. They're gonna play for proper fights, and to make matters worse, Papa rinses a second man. Dark's off the board. Shaquille Oatmeal forced to get aggressive. Spots one, but can't secure me for the run it back ends, and Papa gets a third because of it. My goodness, how punishing can you be as they'll re-engage, finally shut down by Immortal, but the damage has been done, and they'll line up for a double up shot from Toast and Light Fire. That's the Patriots finally finding their second round win.
It's just scenarios like that, man. I mean, you go ahead and start seeing this entire game plan start to crumble right from in front of you. And even then, it all started there, obviously, at the very start with Papa Sauce. I mean, going ahead and start with the 3K, knocking down Eman immediately. That's the biggest thing there. That is the fragger. That's something that's been building himself. And when you're sitting on the sidelines watching the rest of your team start to crumble in front of you, it's a little bit of a demoralizer, but it doesn't really matter too much because you've already found yourself a very solid half, no matter what the end of the day. But considering that even then, off the back of that success, they're able to double down here a little bit. Finally get a bye. Finally get to a point where the Patriots are a little bit, I mean, lackluster in terms of their own purchase for once. And we have not seen them in this circumstance before, so we can see exactly how they want to do it on a full buy round.
Slow and steady typically wins the race, and for Shaquille Oatmeal, it's a Guardian in hand that will net them first blood. Shaka will go ahead and start to stick down this plant within their own Cypher cage. Right idea to cut down sight lines in case an aggressive stance does come in through tree, and you do see the Patriots decide to try and engage and shut down any aggressive stance coming out from Iolani. Just hasn't worked out. Once they can vie for control of space, couple shotguns in hand in this thrifty round for Iolani, and it's done. 2 players inside tree and garden removed from a Bucky and a Judge at pretty aggressive ranges, might I add. And with that operator now being tagged by the spy cam, expecting them to fall back all the way to spawn, they're likely not going to waste that extremely aggressive priced weapon, but it's just going to be denied perfectly by Anime King Demon, who trades out their Judge for the Vandal they just killed previously, and it'll be Iolani on a thrifty Dallas going flawless. My goodness.
I mean, just points like that already to go ahead and let you know that they're kind of hitting this game home so far.
Yeah.
I mean, not only when it comes around to Ascent, that's the biggest factor here. Knowing that this map, I mean, it's the one, as I mentioned already, that every single team knows to a certain degree. I mean, every team at least thinks they knows, and then they go ahead and show up here, and it always kind of goes ahead and gets shut down, or one team just is absolutely able to inflate their ego. I mean, keep in mind, Iolani, they've probably had their own days where they've had a 9-3, a 10-2 on this map, where they've been on the bad side of things, and already it just feels like there's a natural hierarchy to this map. But even then, we're finally seeing a little bit of the Odin play come through there with Sova on that B side. That wallbang has not been employed just yet, but finally, as it does, at least creates enough pressure to say, look, we can go and close things out, maybe get a couple players off the board, and that's exactly what you've done.
Jet tries to go for the updraft and for popping the Blade Storm and get a couple shots in through those skylight holes up inside towards B main lobby. Papa Sauce will go for the old, reliable approach, just walking in through lobby to try to take down a player over towards Octopus. They do succeed for one, right at the attempt for them to rotate over towards the A side. They are refragged back by the Sova, who is currently holding on to that spike. But Immortal, you only got one teammate left, but thankfully so here, Dels. It is Shaka, the top player for the side of Iolani Esports, who has been doing so darn well for their side. But you each got a combo for a 2-piece. You're heading into a site where you don't have a lot of information because you started to absorb a lot of that when it came on over to the B side. Yep. Thankfully, the recon bolt is here, and the Owl Drone is as well. But the second that first is sent, the team is going to rotate, and you can see it here already for the HHS Patriots working their way back into sight. And Toast, my goodness, on site. Good for the Blade Storm kill.
He means the last one standing. I mean, if anybody's going to make it expensive, it could be this guy. More importantly, already knocking down 2, has only 2 more to go. And keep in mind, Light also only has like 1 shot remaining, even then on the body. So if you can pick up a gun, maybe go ahead and lurk around the map, but you can't do that at this point. You have a gun in front of you, but you do not have the time to go anywhere else. There is no rotation to be made. It's only blood in front of you, and it's just shy of clutching it out for 1 more. Rather than 10-2, we're looking at 9-3. That's a lot more feasible for the Patriots, but man, they got to get in high gear to go ahead and overcome this deficit.
Iolani's attack was very multi-dimensional, Dallas. I was very impressed. We didn't see a lot of bottom mid pushes moving into market. We saw it once with a great flank that came out from Shaquille Oatmeal that cut down the one market player with Operator. That made it much easier in that round, and it also was a great beginning to the ultimate end of Iolani on that attack, where they continued to use that momentum to shut down a lot of the rifle purchases and op purchases that the Patriots were inevitably buying and seemingly wasting when they weren't finding enough impact on the back of them. Their attack was just very well. They did not go one single site. They didn't just do the same old strategy over and over again. Every single round seemed like it had a new beginning and a completely new way for it to end. That last round alone was an extremely close call for Shocker, who's had an exceptional performance on the Cypher of all things when it came to their attack. But now you're going to fall into a bit more of a role where you're probably going to sit static on B site all by your lonesome. Only person who should join you would be that Sova. They get an LMG in hand. They just spray through that wall like you saw in the last round for the Patriots. Just try to work from there. But if you can't, you got two duelists. Get in the face of the Patriots. And that's already what we're seeing from Dark as they move on over to top mid and take down a player who is lagging over towards A lobby. That is a free kill off the rip.
It's so funny how we mentioned the mid presence already coming up from Iolani on the attacking side, and they're replicating exactly that on the defense as well. Able to go ahead and say, look, they're giving this thing up. We can push right through the middle if we want to, and even maybe grab a couple kills so we can find that space. Knowing that already you check panels, nobody was there to be seen, so you just keep on going up towards catwalk, get those kills, and should already, not only do you have numbers at first, but you just keep on doubling, tripling. You just let it keep rolling, and already you're in a 4v2 situation. This is an outstanding effort for them, and even then the Patriots have no idea how to retaliate.
Mortal's in a pretty interesting spot. Only a shorty in the hand. Needs to trade out for a classic. Has a nice flick, but can't connect to Jellies. The slight opening they created, having to buy up the longer ranged pistol.
30 seconds
and inevitably forced them into the afterlife a little bit too soon. Cypher sending out the spy cam, talks down Toast, and finds Jellies immediately after the fact. Shaka has had a heyday on Ascent, and with the pistol round falling in favor of the Iolani side, Dallas, the Patriots have to question, do we force? They're at double digits. They've reached 10, a 7-round buffer between these. Do we play out like it's a normal game? Do we try to play for the 11-3 scoreline for the comeback from there? Or do we try to scrounge up something here? I think the wisest choice is to save, and I think the Patriots are still talking things through, but I think they're going to come to the same choice. Just play it like it's a normal game. You just got to make the big comeback all by yourselves.
A lot of teams on the attacking side, you'll see them start to opt for these sheriff buys on this round, and especially have the majority of the team on that next one. So long as you can get this spike down and at least get that extra money to work with that extra 300 credits, that'll compensate for maybe the half shields and the Vandal still, or whatever rifle that you want to opt for in the meantime. And it'll be enough to get the job done. Problem is, though, when you're rushing right through, knowing that you're here in Ares and look for one of the most narrow accesses onto a site possible, you know you're going to just be lining up for the man at the end of the day, and already Immortal has shown to do that as you make sure not only to get damage, but at least a couple kills off the board in the meantime. Dark, though, setting up for a little bit of a flank. Can't get the first, but does find the second. Already in the 2v5 scenario, the Patriots are at just an absolute loss for what they can really do, because the territory was given up, at least a little bit, considering that Papa Sauce, that your line in the sand has now gone ahead and retreated a little bit more so.
Yeah, with the spike not having been planted, the Patriots didn't make up for the loss of purchase for that one sheriff they went for, so that player is going to have a little bit harder of a time in this round to get a rifle in full armor. They're going to have to go for soft instead. Chaywan maybe would be the only player to have to do so. They'll be down to 0 credits at the end of the day. Lightfire would just go ahead and say, hey guys, I haven't been playing exceptionally well with the rifle. I'll stay a little bit closer to the chest. I'm not going to be so reliable on having to be the entry player like Toast is, or maybe having to give the initiating power like Chaywan or Jellies. I'm going to sit a little bit further back, maybe lag my corner behind, play some util, and just go for flank watch. We're up close and personal. It's going to be where I thrive. That's a good decision. Save a couple credits on top. 1200 is nothing to scoff at. But this round should have been a lot more from them. And the Iolani side are going to realize that, and they're going to play very far back when it comes down to the marshals they had. They had 2 at the end of the round, and Dark has already made quick work of 1 player with it. There wasn't a lot of communication in the last round either. Should have called out Dark was on the flank, but at least here, they get a pick, but they fall victim to a molly tossed out by Shaquille Oatmeal. And that is going to force the Patriots now into a man advantage again. And look at the health of their Fade Dallas. It's a sliver, man.
It's already, the round feels like it was doomed before it could even really start, considering your spike plant, your attempt onto his site, the attack didn't really work out at all for you. Considering that even in the Patriots, they've just been kind of choked up over and over again. It's surprising that Iolani's kind of able to hold down these things on the defensive side, not only just because of their fragging alone, but that's really what's carrying them in this respect. You see a lot of teams where they just can't really do too much on the actual regards and respects of damage in terms of utility, but even then they have to compensate for in guns, and it's just done perfectly here. So already, once again, lurking around the map, you have nothing but a marshal. You're on the flank. That now goes ahead and segregates the entire map to yourself. One looking back, one looking forward. You are dividing your entire approach onto site into half, and even you can't even find that pressure in the first place to even look for that leeway. So already maybe a last second rotation, maybe going to the B side. You don't know, but the spike has now been called at the A. I'm dropped A main. Just go ahead and hold this thing out, and you find yourself with a match point.
12-3 current score line, very much so looking like it can fall 13-3 here, Dallas, as the Patriots will be heading into this next round off after an attempted full buy for their team. That wasn't necessarily all there with the soft purchase there of the Spectre, but with that soft purchase from Lightfire, they are the only person on their team that can buy full armor and a proper mainstay rifle, such as the Vandal or Phantom. Don't want to combine the two words there. This doesn't look great for the Patriots side. Let's keep in mind that this series was a 5th seed Hillcrest side facing off against the 4th seed of Iolani High School. And they have been absolutely dismantled. Iolani have looked at home, so to say, here on Ascent.
Yep.
Maybe they would have felt more at home on Breeze, considering where they're actually located. But I don't know, maybe just a city in the sky is where they tend to thrive, because my goodness, a 12-3 scoreline already is impressive beyond belief.
It most definitely is. I mean, considering that what we saw in the start of that last half, I mean, that was probably going to be a little bit obvious considering what we saw, but even then for it to be duplicated on this half as well, the string of rounds we've seen over and over again, not only the first 1, 2, but making it 3 in a row is just an absolute utter disgrace when you consider, I mean, what you're doing to the other side. So knowing already the Patriots, they're once again lacking in numbers, knowing they don't really have a buy for a circumstance like this, you have to go ahead and pull it a thrifty, and when you couldn't even do the rifle rounds, that makes it that much more of a dire circumstance and desperate to get done at the end of the day. So with that Odin in hand, right through the middle of the map, you have to find a little more effect. You're just spraying through, looking for aggression into these players, trying to see where they are. The running back gives you the information. The operator gets the shutdown. E-Man gets the last player, and there it is. Light fire to go ahead and be the last final straw to be pulled in the meantime.